What's going on, world? What's going on, world? You know what time it is. We are back. This is the Coffee with Jones podcast. I got my boy Mike Fallon back with me again. I had and this is the re-up because last week, the last piece of audio we had didn't go as planned, so we had to redo it. But it's all good. That's why That's why there's redos. Last time he was on, we was talking about X-Men theories, everything.
Speculations, everything.
Exactly. We had what was it? X-Men comes out tomorrow. Yeah, it comes out tomorrow.
Drops tomorrow, you guys.
Yes, sir. So, okay, how do you feel about? What is your overall take of how you think the movie's gonna be when when it drops out? First of all.
All right, for everybody listening, I'm gonna give it like a 7.58 from everything I've seen so far. My speculations are from all the footage that's come out, basically from all the interviews, things that have gotten leaked a little bit, even people who have already dropped footage in Europe because it's already come out in other countries, and people have been reposting pieces of the movie on Instagram and Facebook, and I've seen some of it already. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 8. It looks pretty good. It looks like they're actually going to stay faithful to Apocalypse's origin, so I'm really happy about that. Everything else, I was sort of concerned, basically, about the storyline and plot for everything that they did show. But then when I watched those clips, read everything that I could, it's giving me reassured that it's going to actually be decent. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a, like I said, 7.5 or 8, because it looks like it might actually, do something good.
Yeah, because I was looking at them like, man, are they giving us too much? Like, every time I get online, I see on Fox another trailer, another snippet. I'm like, I think y'all giving us a little too much right now. Like, it's going to be like, by the time I see the movie, I've been already seeing the movie through all these dang clips. Like,
it's just that's the way Fox rolls. It's like, basically, when it comes to power play, the top studio is Marvel right now. Second after them is DC, because DC literally just basically demoted Zack Snyder this week over BVS.
Dang.
And they brought in Jeff Johns from the comic division. Now he's the pit boss over the movies. He's the new Kevin Feige in Warner Brothers. And then after them it's going to be Fox, and after them is Sony. So Fox has to bring it since they're third grade right now. Right. They're like the third best. Not even top 2.
Right. And like we talked about last time, I just want to go back for a little bit.
Yeah.
When we talked about how at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past, you saw Mystique as Stryker, and she's like, what do you want to do with him? Like, he's still alive. I'll take him. Then you see Mystique, you see Stryker first in the trailer. Then you see Mystique. You're like, is that Mystique? Like, the thing with me that catches me off guard about Stryker, when she took Wolverine into the Weapon X program, was that, how did Stryker figure out about Wolverine if that wasn't him at that time? That's what throws me off.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because they're twisting all the timelines now, but Stryker has to still be a part of it because he was shown in this new trailer. So, because there's no way that she's him and taking care of Apocalypse at the same time. What I'm thinking is that the Stryker gets brought back into the fold somehow, but so that way it's still him that's responsible for Wolverine. And from what's been confirmed by Bryan Singer, because the thing, Bryan Singer, he's been dropping spoilers now too. He confirmed that the Wolverine we get in the film is the Wolverine from the comics, Weapon X version, where he's in the trunks with a giant metal helmet around his face.
Yeah,
that exact one. If you guys seen what Jones's cover photo is on his Facebook profile, that's what Wolverine's gonna look like.
Yes, sir.
Take it back to the one from the '90s. So I feel as a director and a filmmaker, he should have kept that under wraps. They should have never showed Wolverine in the trailer. But I guess that they're trying to copy Civil War trailer. Like I said, man, because Fox is suffering right now when it comes to being up there, because none of their films, not a single solo X-Men film has hit $1 billion. But Marvel has made four of them that hit $1 billion, and DC's only made one.
Right.
and Sony's not even close.
And I'm sitting back thinking like there's and my boy Mike Fallon, the king of comic books, like he taught me some stuff, like I like about the whole X-Men, like this, everything after Future's Past is gone. Like I kind of figured that out, but it's it's weird because you think of the old stuff, now you look at the new stuff, like it's like the timeline, like I still want that to fit in with the original stuff, like.
Yeah. Well, what they said already, like I said, man, like Fox has loose lips sometimes, bro. Like Tupac says, loose lips sink ships. So what they already confirmed is for X-Men 6 after this, that it's gonna take place in the 90s. So we're gonna see everybody from this in the 90s version. So we already know that they win against Apocalypse. Well, I don't know if everybody makes it out alive, but so then they said hopefully the way that ends will connect into the original 3. And I'm just like, if that's the case, then won't you have to remake all the first 3 films?
No. See, if we're going off of the 6, that means the first X. Okay, this is after, because when we get Wolverine in the first one, that's after Weapon X, right? That would be technically after Weapon X, right?
It's literally like it looks like the day of his birth as Wolverine.
Okay.
From everything they're showing is his birth.
All right.
Like the moment he wakes up.
Right. Then he meets Rogue. So I guess that's reloop.
Well, because the thing with Rogue happened 20 years later.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is either they're gonna straight up like ignore the original 3 from 2000 to 2007, or they're gonna find a way to reboot them in a sense with the newer cast, to where everything gets rewritten, but they still keep the original actors. So it's like they put themselves in a conundrum. They never should have went back this far. The casting was good, but the placement of characters made no sense. They brought people that should have been introduced in the 90s and in the 2000s. Put him in the 60s and then the 70s and then the 80s. So I don't know. I understand Bryan Singer likes making movies, but his choice with continuity and research is not fitting what we want. That's why I hate to say it. It's like he did good, but Marvel's outdone anything he's ever done. I mean, for me, it's like the people who made this genre give it its footing and its foundation. It was Robert Townsend started off with Meteor Man. Well, my bad. It was in the 70s with Chris Donner. We made the first Superman. Then Robert Townsend followed it up, and Michael Keaton in the 89 and then 93, and then Wesley Snipes in 98, and then after that, Bryan Singer took over the same year, 2000, and right after that, Sam Raimi came out with Spider-Man, and they're the 4th and the 5th people to make the superhero franchise we know now. And then Marvel came in 2008 and blew everybody else out of the water. So It's just like, how are you gonna be one of the first 5 to establish this genre, and yet you can't even stick with the timeline? So it makes no sense to me.
It really doesn't. Cause I'm an X-Men head. My best friend, he clowns me like, yo man, you trying to figure this out, man. Like quit confusing yourself. Like dude, I'm really with this X-Men life. I'm way back when it was on like 90s, you know.
Yeah, 90s cartoon Fox Box. I remember that, you know, Saturday mornings.
That was my jump. I used to get in so much trouble for talking in class about that show, man. I stayed getting in trouble for talking about it. But I'm like thinking like, just after Days of Future Past, it just, you know, like it's a setback. It's like Future's Past should have been. They shouldn't have done it. Not Days of Future Past. First Class. It's like it just throws a wrench in everything. Like it's like it just throws a wrench in everything. They just should have did a separate movie like the Wolverine movie, the first one, the Wolverine Origin. Like they just should have did a separate film that has nothing to do with the main film. Cause then you think about, okay, there's Wolverine. He tells him to F off. Then Future's Past. You get Professor Xavier, and like, okay, how does all this work?
It's 50 years before. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well.
Yo, Mike, you there, man? Did we lose signal? Did we lose signal, people? I think we did. But basically, like, we lost Mr. Mike Fallon, everybody. But that's cool. He'll call back. But it's all good. But basically, with X-Men, I feel like it's just after First Class came out, it just left a void. It just left a void. Like, to me, I feel like it's one of those movies that's like, okay, now you gotta start putting pieces together, because you go back and look at the Wolverine 2, and he loses his vibranium claws. Then you get first Days of Future's Past, where he has the vibranium claws in the future, but in the past he doesn't. Then it's like after you, and he says, he like, yo, when he wakes up and he's back in the house, he's like, yo, he said, you did it, Logan. It's like, he said, what's the last thing you remember? Drowning. He said, oh. He said, then they hit the then they tell you your future. Sometimes we're gonna try to get them back, everybody. Basically, they's telling you.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we got them back, everybody. Basically, I was telling them, everybody, about after Future's Past, where here's another thing that threw me off. I mean, I was saying where after he came back in the future. I mean, in the past, he had his regular claws, then he had his vibranium claws in the future.
Yeah.
But in the past, he didn't. But then, after the whole ordeal, he wakes up in the house. He has his claws. He sees.
Yeah. Adamantium.
Yeah, that one. I'm sorry, X-Men fans are gonna kill me, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But the point, but it's like he sees Rogue, Iceman, Jean, Cyclops, Professor Xavier. He's like, yo, he said, he's talking like, oh, you did it. He said, what's the last thing do you remember? Drowning. I'm like, and then after that, it's like, yo, how, Sway? And that's like a whole, like, it doesn't really dawn on you till you sit back and think, wait a minute. Then he says, sometimes your future is destined. Like, okay. Yeah. So it was always destined for him to have them. I'm like, it was just a whole bunch of stuff that just throws so many holes left in the argument.
Well, because the thing is this, is that when they first conceived the character, he was supposed to be he wasn't supposed to be human. He was supposed to be like a humanoid creature spawned from an actual Wolverine. And then they're like, oh no, let's make that his nickname, make him a mutant. So he had his healing factor regardless. He was born in 1886. And he's older than anybody else in the comic. He does not need the X-Men at all to need the adamantium. So it was shown in the comics that the adamantium didn't come from him knowing the X-Men or having any interaction from him. He got them from volunteering to be experimented on by the Canadian government during the 60s. So that's where they messed up too, is that they jumped it from the 60s to the 80s, because when he got his claws, he met Omega Red and Deadpool and Sabretooth all at the same time. Because Deadpool, Sabretooth, and Omega Red were all given inhibitors to slow down their aging process. And so, basically, him getting his medal has nothing to do with that Xavier. It has nothing to do with being Cyclops. Being around them has nothing to do with that medal. Now, him as being a good person, that's their responsibility. That's something that they went through. Because there's three phases of him. There's the Wolverine of the 1886 to the 60s, where he's just a wandering person. Then when he gets his medal, he gets amnesia. Then after he gets his medal, he goes and becomes a samurai and be trained in Japan.
I mean, like, it's just so much, you know. Then you got, now, moving forward, we have Apocalypse. Then, like, it's just so much going on. And Mr. Fallon, do you mind breaking down to the people that do not know some of the key points of Apocalypse, if you don't mind breaking that down to the people?
I got got you. All right, for all the listeners out there on the podcast, this is a quick breakdown of what the character is. Apocalypse was thought to be the first mutant, even though he's not. He's basically one of the first 2 or first 10 first ever born. He was born in Egypt with gray skin. Basically, his parents thought he was a freak and left him to die in the sand. Sort of like how nowadays some people in China will leave their daughters to die on the streets. Same parallel. When he was a baby in the sand, waiting to die, he was picked up by a bunch of bandits, like robbers, thieves, criminals, thugs. They picked him up, they raised him. When he was in his 20s, before his 20s, he found out his power was he can control the molecules within his own body. Complete manipulation. So with that, he can change his size, change the way he breathes, he can control his heartbeat, he can control his longevity, can manipulate his lifespan, the way his brain processes. Anything that deals with the human functionality of his own body, he can manipulate it like Photoshop. Then when he got older in his 20s, he ran into a broken down alien spaceship. It merged with him. So now he can do a lot of stuff. Telekinetic, telepathic, super strength, speed, shape-shifting. Literally every power you can think of. And then also with that ship attached to his body, he can take any other mutant that he manipulates or that bows to him, and he can increase their abilities by a certain percentage.
Right.
So in the trailer, they do show him laying on a slab tab in the trailer in just Egyptian garb, but he looks like a normal person. That's where they messed up on. And then he turns into his gray skin, which is completely different than what happened at the end of Days of Future Past. At the post-credit scenes of Days of Future Past, he was a teenager with gray skin with the 4 horsemen. And then now in this one, he has normal Egyptian skin, which is still inaccurate. He's not even black. He's like Hispanic. Oh, a Hispanic dude playing a black dude. Still can't get Egyptians right. And he's sitting there. He goes from a light skinned Latino into a gray skinned mutant. So at least they got him having gray skin right.
Right. I mean.
So yeah. So that's the breakdown of what it is. So like they're sticking at least 90% to what his origin is. As long as they say he's raised by those bandits, then they'll be 90%. If they throw that out too, besides him growing up all the time with gray skin, they'll be like 80% true to what his character is.
Right, and you made a great point. Like I said, you made another great point before when you said the only known mutants that could destroy Apocalypse would be Cable. And who else did you say?
Cable.
And it's
so basically, Cable is for those who don't know, quick breakdown. Jean Grey dies after she gets married to Cyclops. Mr. Sinister, who's a pawn or a henchman under Apocalypse, clones her. Apocalypse doesn't know that she's dead. Oh, no, my bad. Cyclops doesn't know she's dead. They get it on, and he gets her pregnant. The baby is born, and Apocalypse jumps to the timeline and stabs the baby with a virus. It's called the Technovirus. Basically, how Medusa in Greek mythology turns your skin into stone, the Technovirus slowly kills you while turning your body into pure metal. So a stranger from the future comes, takes the baby to the future, and raises the baby because the kid has all of Jean Grey's powers but amplified. And so he uses his powers every waking moment to keep the virus at bay. And then when he becomes an old man, he comes back to the past, and then he infects Apocalypse with the same virus. And then it's like a time paradox, to where they have to infect each other, or one cannot exist without the other.
right.
And then Cable kills Apocalypse in the future, comes to our past, which is our current time, and trains our X-Men to fight Apocalypse.
That's crazy. That's wild. And that's
So it's just, it's insane.
So how do you think this movie is gonna end before seeing it? Like, I know you're gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it. But how do you think the movie's gonna technically end? Like, how do you think they're gonna stop Apocalypse? It's like they said that it's teased. It's rumored that the Sinister is supposed to be in this movie. Supposed to be. Allegedly, this is all rumored. I'm not sure, but how do you think this movie's gonna end, man? Like, what's your
Well, my speculation is this: if you watch the trailers, which I did, and I took screenshots, so I slowed down the trailer to analyze it. When they show you the shot of young Storm standing up, you see a black pyramid behind her. Now, the alien spaceship gets crafted into a pyramid shape. Because, people, I hate to say it like this, we know how some white people say, especially in historical facts, which is not racist, but it's true, there were white scientists and archaeologists who went into Africa, and this is back when racism still was infectious into the field. They said that it was illogical for blacks to be able to build pyramids in their own homeland. So some people have used that to their advantage in science fiction, as the saying that like with Stargate, that blacks didn't create the pyramids, aliens did. So they're saying the same thing. They showed the same thing in the X-Men comics, where aliens made the pyramids. So the black pyramid you see in the trailer is not of sand, but of alien metal. And so I think they could use that to either knock out Apocalypse and throw him into a time paradox, or to cause him to go back to sleep.
Right, and you told me that you stated that Apocalypse can sleep for like thousands of years
at a time.
That's crazy. Talk about being well rested.
Yes. So because he's a master of time and his own and immortality. So what's a few thousand years to an immortal?
That's true, y'all. That is absolutely true. So, man, how you want to close out this podcast, man? Don't want to give too much. I know you on the road right now. So, how you want? I'm gonna let you close this out, man.
All right. Well, basically, I just want to say I want to give a big shout out to my bro Jones here for getting me on the podcast. I'm here right now representing my show, Citizen Cinema, in a collaboration with JonesStreetTV and this great podcast. And I just want to say that I appreciate being here. And I feel the movie's going to do good. We'll have to wait and see what happens, because I might see it tonight at a midnight showing. And if so, I'll let you know my early reviews.
Right on. And I'm trying to either go see it tomorrow or next week. That's it, everybody. Like I said, I will be shooting this audio over to my boy Mike sometime to probably tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
But this will be going up soon.
Okay.
So everybody, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Coffee with Jones podcast alongside my boy Mike Fallon. Go check him out, subscribe, and have a good night, people. And we are out of here.
We are out.